Hello and welcome to Noel's Retro Lab. In this week's mail day, we have some very interesting and exciting donations to the Retro Lab, as well as some smaller packages that I'm hoping have some of the pieces we're waiting for to finish up some of those videos that we have pending. So we have a lot to go through. Let's get on with it. So the first thing we have here is a donation by Francisco Zapata Sanabria. And this is a favorite system of mine. This is an Amstrad PCW, in this case the 8256, it doesn't matter that much. And we'll cover this whole thing, but it's actually super interesting. This was mostly intended as a word processor, but people still managed to make games for it and some very interesting things. And this is not your typical form factor where the computer is inside the keyboard. Actually, the keyboard is like a modern PC keyboard. The actual computer is inside the monitor. That's why I had to get the monitor in spite of my limited space. And this also uses 3-inch floppy disk drives, just like the Amstrad Cpc, unfortunately. And then it's not just this, but it's actually the complete system. So we have the manuals, which are nice and hefty, like Amstrad usually makes, and even the printer, which, since this was intended as a word processor slash, spreadsheet, this was a crucial part of the whole package. So we'll have to do some restoration. It's clearly very dirty, but it's going to be fun. And I believe this one is working, even though I still need to get the system disks to even get it started. There's no hard drive in here. So we'll definitely have a fair amount of things to do with it, and we'll learn more about the system in upcoming videos. So thank you, Paco. The next thing we have here is an Amstrad Ppc6128. This also comes from Francisco. This one is actually his, and he lent it to me to see if we can fix it. So this is an actually portable computer. Notice it has the handle and everything. A portable PC by Amstrad. I believe it's an 8086, but I'm not really sure. It's kind of a monster by today's standards, but hey, back then you didn't have the luxury of small components. And it opens up in this cool way. And I don't know what you have to do to hold it up. So apparently this particular system comes with a hard drive, which is highly unusual for this model. I believe it wasn't sold with hard drives, but it was added as an aftermarket thing in some store, and that makes it particularly valuable. So this one is not working, and so one of my jobs in a future episode is going to be to try to fix it, and maybe we'll even try to do some cosmetic improvements as well. So we'll see. This should certainly be interesting because it's going to push me out of my comfort zone of like 8-bit computers. This gets more in the early PCs, but it should still be quite interesting. So now we're getting to the smaller packages. Right, this is a Noel power supply. And specifically, this is one that I got, and we'll see this in a future video for sure, specifically to replace the power supply on my Amiga 500 and 1200, because it actually blew up, like literally one of the capacitors just blew up. And I had read that this particular power supply outputs the same voltages that the Amiga needs, and it's small enough to fit inside the original Amiga power supply enclosure. So hopefully that'll be a good fit for that, and we'll have a very reliable modern power supply. Next up, I have no idea what this is. Oh, right. I was thrown off by a huge package. This is a PCB for the HAL on the Amstrad Cpc6128. If you remember one of the videos that I did a while ago, I was showing you a clever trick to test the two banks of the Amstrad Cpc memory, of the Amstrad Cpc6128, which has 128K of RAM split into two main banks of 64K. You could hardwire a few bits and force the Amstrad Cpc to boot up out of the second 64K instead of the first 64K, which it's very useful a lot of times in repairs to, if it's not starting up and you suspect there's some RAM chip. So at that point, Dave Anders saw that and decided to design this tiny little PCB to pretty much have the same functionality as I mentioned in that video, except that it's not hard-coded anymore, and it's much nicer than soldering a few wires on an adapter. And I believe you even have some jumpers in there that you can force it to switch or not switch. So this should be very handy. I'll put a link to the project webpage on the description in case you want to check it out. You can download the Gerber files yourself, or maybe there's a way to order them from him as well. So this is very cool. I'm definitely looking forward to testing it. Thanks, Dave. Another mystery package. This is like Christmas. I have no idea what's in it. Oh, great. I suspect these are the EEPROMs we've been waiting for the TI-99/4A video. When we last left it, I suspected that the system ROMs might be faulty because we had some lines that were always high. So I was waiting for these EEPROMs to burn them and test it and see if that works. Ever since then, I thought about it some more, and I'm not 100% sure that's a problem. It could very easily be the CPU. Adrian over at Adrian's Basement had a similar problem, and his case was also the CPU. So we'll see. I'm having my fingers crossed that this will be it, but I'm ready for it to be something else. Right. So this is the TMS 9929 that I've been waiting for, the SVI 328 repair. There's a long story there, but I'll just give you a quick summary in that I ordered a video chip. And if you were wondering why it's taking so long for me to come up with part 3, is because I ordered the wrong video chip. I ordered an NTSC version, and this is the correct PAL version. So that's another video we'll be able to continue and hopefully wrap up soon. Okay, and coincidentally, these are some wires for the same project. So this is also something that I'm hoping to be able to use on the SVI 328. Remember that I had a power board just with a ribbon cable and just glued together that it made working with it extremely difficult. That ribbon is already fallen to pieces. So I was looking for options to replace it. And so this might be an option. Now it's tricky because that cable, I think it was like 13 cables, that ribbon cable. And I was not able to find anything that was 13 or even 14 in that kind of spacing. So I'm hoping to cobble something together out of these cables, and if this works, then you'll be able to unplug it to service a machine or whatever. So it'll be hard for it not to be an improvement over the hot glue they threw in there. Okay, package within a package. Right, so this is all tied together into those projects. These are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. These are DIN 6 plugs, and that happens to be the same format as the video out plug on the TI-99/4A, the European version. So I'm hoping with this to manufacture a video cable that outputs either component or something else that we can use to actually see if we get some image out of it. So between this and the EEPROMs, we should be good to go for a while. And finally, something very thin. Oh, right. So these are crystal oscillators, and I can't see through this very easily, but I suspect, or maybe it says it here, 17.73 megahertz. I suspect this is something that I ordered when I thought I was having a problem with the master crystal oscillator on the SVI 328. And then a few days later, I realized that was not the problem. But, you know, I had already placed the order, and they're probably worth the whole thing with shippings less than €1. You know, it never hurts to have a few of those in the lab. So maybe we won't be seeing those in the near future, but who knows? There may be a project that needs them, and it's good to have a few of them in hand. Wow, I have my work cut out for me for the next few weeks or months. That's going to keep me busy for a while. So I hope you enjoyed that preview of things to come. If so, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Until next video, see you then.